Good evening and welcome to the Board Game Barbecue. Happy 50th. Woo!
Yes.
This is our 50th episode. We started in May 25th. Our first episode went live. So we've done all these in under 6 months. This means that we'll hit 100 before the year's out. So a lot of awesome things. Sorry, not before the year's out, before we've been on for a year.
There we go.
We've got a lot of work to
It's
do.
a lot better.
It's some terraforming.
I didn't sign up for this.
There's that polish everyone knows us for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, quality product this time. They're very professional. But yeah, firstly, before we even get started, I just want to say a massive thank you to the 8 other members of this podcast. I asked for people to join a podcast back in probably April, and these clowns all said yes. And ever since, I've gained like a new family. It's like 8 people that I have a lot of respect for, and I love talking to games about. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you to all of you guys. This is so much better than I ever anticipated it was going to be when I sent out that message. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. For bringing us
Thanks,
together.
Yeah.
Tia.
Yeah. That's the emotional roller coaster of the Board Game Barbecue. So it's I think it's only fair, Connor, that we point out that everyone's got a beard.
Yes, everyone has a beard.
Except Def.
Oh, he's got a bit of stubble going there.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah,
It's his 5 o'clock shadow.
And that's where we're gonna. And that's the end of the beard jokes from the rest
done.
of the podcast.
Yeah.
Done.
The next 5 years.
Everyone gets one.
The end.
Ah.
I do sometimes wish I had a beard because
That's his gags for the next 2 hours, all down the window.
Been working all week on it.
I do sometimes wish I had a beard because I think it'd be really satisfying, like when you're thinking about a movie
Yeah.
in a board game, to just
Yeah,
just
but
the only reason I have
dude,
one.
it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
nice and smooth. It's all gross and sticky.
Yeah.
It's not
But
nice.
I love that, and I don't know about. I don't know why we're talking about beards, but let's continue because when you comb your beard and you get like that, like some of the hairs like knotted together, that's like so satisfying to comb
I
out
thought
those
you-
knots. Oh,
I thought you were going to say when you get all the crumbs
like
out. I was like,
therapeutic.
where you were
No.
Old sauce from
I'm
your
not
past.
a hobo.
When you find half a brownie that you can quickly finish off before anyone sees. Yes.
I want to keep up.
It's the board beard barbecue.
Good beard barbecue.
And again, the quality you've come to know and love. So just a bit of an outline of what we're doing tonight. We're doing some of the regular things that we do. So we're doing the board game bracket battle. We're resolving the ginormous Terraforming Mars versus Root battle. And we're going to be setting up Codenames versus Everdell a little bit later. We're also going to talk about some achievements that we've had over the last 50 episodes and what we've really been surprised by. Also, some of the things that we're starting tonight, and also some of the things that we're going to be doing in the coming months with the podcast. But first of all, rather than having our sizzling games, what we're going to talk about is sizzling episodes. So everyone on this podcast has been on about 12 to 15 episodes, except obviously for myself, who's been on a few more. And that just means that we've missed out on 35 odd episodes that we probably, some of those we really wished we could have been on. So we're going to go around the horn and everyone's going to talk about an episode that they wish they were on and why. And we'll may as well start. So I'm going to go off my screen here. So I'm going to go fly over to Brisbane and talk to Adrian first.
No pressure then.
No.
Nothing. I don't know if it's the episode that I would have most wanted to be on, but it was the one that that had the greatest impact, I think, on us. And I think when I first spoke to Andrew Bosley about potentially being on the show, and then him saying yes, I was at Bunnings, like buying stuff for work, which Bunnings is like a hardware store in Australia. It's like a big Home Depot or something like that. And basically I just had to sit down and I got a little teary and I was like, I can't believe that we're going to have this guest come on. This is amazing. And I messaged everybody and I was freaking out and it was so exciting. I was just so pumped. And the reaction that we all had was like a really positive one. And yeah, I think that was just, I know it's not specifically an episode, but just that moment in time, like I was just encapsulated by it. And I was like, wow, we could, you know, who else can we get? Who else will talk to me?
Who's next?
Sure.
Yeah.
The next victim.
Yeah, poor people. And I'd already sent a bunch of messages out. And then Andrew was the first one that actually got back to us. And then within like a week, I started to get more and more emails back and forth between different people. And it just evolved from there. And I joined different Discord groups and different chat rooms, and it's just been evolving ever since. But that moment in time when we first did that, I was so stoked. So
Next on my list is Sarah.
Yeah, well, sort of similar sentiment actually there, because I've been really surprised with just, how many great guests we've had on the show in such, a short space of time. We're relatively new, and obviously we're talking about episodes that we weren't actually on, right? So one of the guests that I would have really liked to talk to was Matt Leacock, because I'm a bit of a fan of his. I have like all the Forbidden games. I am working on Pandemic Legacy Season 0 now, and I've gone through the other Legacy pandemics. And Pandemic itself was one of the first games that Mark and so my partner and I played together. So it's got like a special place in our relationship.
Cool.
So yeah, it's just that sort of emotional connection that I have to Matt's games. And of course, Jules asked that really awesome question from him about how, he sort of builds the games around these certain emotions, which I found really interesting.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I have the same experience, Sarah, by the way. Matt Leacock was the game that me and MJ both played first together. And I told him that on the show, and it was a real
Did you call him Cupid?
I don't know. Did I?
He's like the board game Cupid.
Yeah. But no, it was really good. It was a great episode.
What about yourself, Def?
Scrolling through the episodes, there's a few that stand out, but the one I've picked is the Andrew Bosley one, for a few different reasons, I guess, than Adrian. It was, the first guest that we had that, had so much impact, not just to the podcast, but to us on a personal level, I think, because it gave us, it gave me a view of, well, we can get pretty much everyone and anyone to talk on the podcast and have a bit of fun and, keep it less formal and, just enjoy ourselves, and the guests can enjoy themselves without feeling they're in the spotlight. And I think that character has come through to the rest of the show since. But at the same time, Everdell is a game that we bought exclusively based on art. We walked into the game store, and I asked the guy, "Do you have a Civilization game?" And he shows me Tapestry and Through the Ages. And Tapestry at the time was like 6 times the price of Through the Ages, and Through the Ages is 6 times the length of Tapestry. I didn't know that then, but to cut the long story short, I got Through the Ages, and I was about to leave the store, and this gorgeous box catches my view, and I'm like, "Oh, this looks really pretty," and I felt such a connection that I didn't even look the game up. I said, "Yep, let's buy that too." And it became to be one of our most played games of the year. And I think it was one of those games that sort of opened it up for more. So I would definitely have loved to be there and speak to Andrew Bosley.
Just on that episode, and I very rarely give Adrian a hard time because he does so much work in booking these guests for us. But Steve and Mitch, I don't know if you remember, we had to get up at like the crack of dawn.
Yeah.
They were all up at like 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And Adrian's like, "I don't know if I got the time right." Adrian's just
that's
going like a
right.
madman. And we're just sitting there like going, "Can we go back to bed?" Like,
It's like we're like 3 hours early or something, but we sent in the link and he just jumped in an hour early anyway. So I'm like, "Oh, well, I guess we'll go."
it was
That's like middle of the day for Adrian, though.
Yeah, time means nothing to Adrian.
The,
He doesn't sleep.
the time zones are really hard, and then there's daylight savings, and then his actual state has 2 time zones.
Oh my
I
god.
was like,
But
what
none of
is
those were
going
the time
on?
zone you were using.
I had no
Neither
idea
of
what
them.
I was doing. I was just excited. That's all.
Fair call. What about yourself, Jules?
You guys have all been picking guest ones, but the one I really wish I was on was the one where Mitch taught everyone how to drink crumpets. No, not really. The one I really wanted to be on was Ian O'Toole. I love the work that he does. You know, the games he happens to do the artwork for are phenomenal as well. But you know, there's just something unique about his work that I really loved, and it was unfortunate that we had to switch the times around, and I was away the week it ran. But it was a really great episode. Hearing his insights and his backstory and how he just sort of reached out to Vital Lasada, Vital, and he just was like, "I love your games. Can I work with you?" He's like, "Sure."
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we've done. We've just reached out to people and they've gone, "Sure."
Yeah.
And it's just been awesome. And
he also taught us Australians about quackers.
Oh my goodness!
Not all of us.
Well, technically, two of us are Australian.
I couldn't
He was
believe
born in
that.
Sheffield. Okay.
Yeah, actually, all three of us are
All three of
Australian.
us.
So there you go.
That was a moment of shame.
Although Ian's Irish, so can we even?
Yeah,
we
that's
can't
right.
really
He
use
lives
that
there.
excuse.
He lives where the quackers live.
I wasn't on that
True,
episode
he lives
either.
where the quackers.
I wasn't on that episode either. And it's actually, I quite like when I'm not on an episode because I get to listen without hearing my own voice and actually enjoy the podcast from a viewer's side rather than an editing side. But when they mentioned that none of them knew what quackers were, I'm like, oh, I need to be on this episode.
I know. I was like, what
seriously?
I need to save them from this embarrassment.
Yeah.
Kind of worked perfectly, really, in a way, because there's been so many quacker jokes in
Yes.
Discord.
Oh,
It's
yes.
a running thing. It doesn't stop. Even today, they were taking quacker jokes out. Like
They were, yeah.
I think it was a deaf that thought he was swearing at us, I think.
I said that. I was like,
what?
It was like, what did you say to me?
Irish accent.
he
and
hates us
quackers,
already.
like-
What have we done? We've done something wrong.
You're just a bunch of quackers. Mitch, what about yourself, mate?
Yeah, I'd probably it's probably a bit of a cheat because it's the last one that we released, but I think the amount of fun you guys just had on that Stephen Bonacore episode, and
for sure.
in terms of my sense of humor, I mean, you've probably all picked up on it by now. If I really like someone, I tend to throw as much crap as I can at them, and that'll tell you that you're a mate. And I think that's the sort of vibe that I got off Stephen, that he's that kind of guy who likes to play around and have fun and throw a bit of dirt and to cast a bit of shade. And so look, you guys did a bang up job and kind of blasted with his terrifying Mars.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Just so you know, the box is still intact. It's okay.
It's because it's a quality component.
Oh,
He kissed and made up later.
That was really well done, Connor, because I have the site radio on and I had that radio blasting out full blast to that. And there was like 5 guys, none of them play board games, know anything about board games. But as soon as you started to rip on him, they all laughed. I thought it was hilarious. So yeah, it was good.
That was a lot of fun. It was he was fantastic, and I could tell the moment we sort of did our little sort of 15-minute meet and greet, and he rocks up with this glass of wine. I was like, yeah, we're on. We are definitely on.
Yeah, I think he dropped out for a moment to go and get a second glass, and I think it was Mike said, "Oh, we should have been recording that. That was gold." I'm like, I got a feeling we're going to get plenty of gold. Speaking of Mike, what about yourself, mate?
For me, I'm going to be a bit repetitive. I'm going to say Andrew Bosley as well. Once again, one of the first guests. I actually just quickly looked up. I bought Everdell, I think, a week before he came on the podcast. After I think I might have heard Def talking about it.
oh yeah.
It sounded amazing. I'm like, no, I got to get this game. And look, I've been a bit nervous to start with the guests. So I never really put my hand up for them previously because I was a bit nervous, didn't really know what to ask. But looking back on it now and having a bit more confidence now, his artwork is amazing. I would love to, pick his brains about the sort of little world he created and the art he did. That's definitely one I probably would have looked back on and wish I jumped on, and had the confidence to even ask and say, hey, I'm interested if you're looking for somebody, it would have been good.
Yeah, for sure. Connor.
I'm actually going to go against the grain. Everyone's picked guests, but I was ceremoniously absent from the first ever trivia night, and my sense of FOMO was so great. I was sitting. I won't say where, like, just not to offend the person whose function I was at, but I was sitting at their function, and I kept going through, and I was like, oh, "Do I just jump in? Do I just jump in from my mobile and like be like, hey, I'm here?" But yeah, and then listening back and watching, I just thought that would have been so much fun. And then when Adrian said, "This is the next trivia night. This is when it's on. Can you do it?" I said, "I don't care what's going on. Like, my partner could be giving birth, and I will be there." So, like that's.
Now that I know the result,
got that on record.
Connor. Yeah. Now that I know the result, I wish you hadn't been there.
I thought Connor's episode would have been the werewolf episode if you could actually have said a word on there.
Was Connor on that? I don't remember seeing you.
Yeah, me either.
Wouldn't let anyone else talk. It was, real bad. And Dan, Mr. Rispin.
I'm going to don't talk about the wall. Connor's here. I'm going to go with Sarah. I think the Matt Leacock one was probably one that I would have loved to have been on, not just because I've got a bunch of his games behind me, including the Forbidden Games and the Pandemics, but in doing some research for that show and throwing some questions on our little sort of team thing to say, hey, ask him this, ask him that. It's just the way he approaches game design, not just from a mechanic point of view, but from he thinks about what emotion he tries to, or he wants to get out of the people as they play. I think that's a fascinating way of approaching game design, as opposed to just looking at theme and mechanics. And so there's just that interview in itself was fascinating to listen to. As a when I'm not on the show, I'm a fan of the show. That's one thing I love about this podcast and that episode in particular.
Well,
sentiment too.
It's I'm gonna employ my hosts right and mention a couple of things here. Not actually an episode I missed, but I just something that happened. A bit of behind the curtain stuff here. I've missed two episodes. One episode that I really wanted to be on, and I had something else happen just before an episode. So we had without going into details, we had a fairly tragic event happen to our community one particular day, and it was right before we were about to do the virtual gaming con, and I was a bit down. It was a pretty emotional time, and the next morning Adrian and Jules, Def, and a few other people are like, Steve, if you get a chance, jump onto Discord, we got something to tell you. So I'm like, sure, like, lift my spirits or whatever else. And they lifted my spirits indeed, because that's when I found out we were getting Jamie Stegmaier on the show. Yeah. I'm not afraid to say that I cried at that point. I was very, very emotional, and it was exactly what I needed at that moment. And it was like a moment that I'll never forget. So that was just amazing. And similarly, the episode that I missed out on that I really wanted to be on was an episode only a couple of episodes ago, which was with our Family Plays Games, who I also find, like, again, behind the curtain stuff here. The reason I couldn't make that episode is because my wife was being discharged from hospital on that day, and I was trying to work out ways where I could still be on the show and pick her up from the hospital, which is an hour and a half drive away from my house. And I was it almost worked, because she messaged me and said, "Oh, look, don't worry about coming and picking me up until after lunch." And I thought, "Oh, okay, well, I'll do the episode, then I'll go." And then she messaged in the morning and said, "No, they've checked me out." I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to leave my wife who's just had major surgery in a hospital for a few hours while I do a podcast." So that was definitely the episode that I wanted to be on. I really wanted to be on the episode, but at the same time, I absolutely loved that episode. It was such a great episode. They both with Sarah hosting, but also those guys as guests. That was excellent. So a bit of a double whammy there, but those two will stay with me for a very long time. So yeah, that's emotional.
Was there a moment where you said to your wife, "Hey, I'm
the worst."
Yeah, I decided against saying to my wife, "I'm showing how much I love you because I'm not on the podcast."
Yeah, wise move.
Yeah, it was, but it was actually really good, because I actually listened to the raw edit on the way home, and we just laughed all the way home. It was excellent. So
that's nice.
Yeah,
they were really fantastic guests to have.
They were awesome.
But I also thought a special mention needs to go to Oliver Millen, who was our first local guest that we had on the show.
Yeah.
And
I'd love to have him back on the show, actually.
yeah, for sure. And Alex Winter as well. Like, we've had some of those big names, but I really appreciate
and Cartier was really cool.
Yeah, Cartier as well. Like, we really want to support all people in the hobby, not just the big names that get thrown up in bright lights. So and in the end, they're all just board game nerds who want to talk about the hobby. So regardless of who we've had on, that's come through. Like, any guest we've had on, they just love talking about the hobby. So,
and that's one of the things that I'm most proud of. I know it's been a bit of a drum that I've been banging behind the scenes, but I'm most proud of the fact that, well, the community that we've sort of cultivated on Discord and Facebook and whatnot. I'm sure we'll speak about that later, but also that we have had people from the community, and not just from the board gaming community, and some content creators like Our Family Plays Games and Oliver and there's other guys. It's great to be able to support the community and be here for the community, that's that we've got so much joy out of as well. So
yeah, there's nothing,
it's a privilege.
I'm sure Adrian will agree with me. There's something quite exhilarating about opening up your email account and seeing you've got emails from all these people. You're like, these are the people that I watch and I'm interested in, and it's like, it's crazy.
Stranger because it's all linked. My phone's linked to all my Google accounts, so I have their names and addresses and stuff in my phone. I'm like, I scroll for my thing trying to do work, and then it's like, a picture of Jamie Stegmaier just going past my phone. Like, it's really weird.
Yeah,
surreal.
Surreal. Yeah.
So Dan sort of touched on it too. I think achievements is something that we need to discuss, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but I will say that I'm guessing most people would say that the community is like the best achievement. It's so good. 100%. It's again, it's just a total unexpected byproduct of the podcast. No one, well, I didn't go into this thinking we're going to create this amazing community who is going to contribute to our Discord, contribute to our Facebook page, and Facebook for us initially was just a way to get in contact. It wasn't ever going to be this big thing, and now it's almost the best thing that's come out of the whole podcast on my level. What do you guys think? What are some achievements that have surprised you, or at least
with the Discord and Facebook as well? There was this tipping point I felt where we were sort of conducting a lot of chatting and things like that between the 9 of us, and then there was this moment where we didn't do much of the chatting at all, and it all came from you guys, our listeners, and the community, and you're having all these fantastic conversations with each other, talking about games, and it melted my heart so much to see that happening, because I could just tell how much you guys as our community and as our listeners enjoy playing games as much as us. So that was probably, aside from launching the episode and meeting all you guys, that was probably the happiest moment for me, because it's something that we did. We created it as a way to get in touch with people, but it's turned into the best thing for me about doing this podcast.
Yeah. I remember there was one night where I think one of you guys had organized, say you were going to teach a game, and I couldn't make it because I had family commitments back. And I remember logging in later that night in Discord to see how you guys were going in the gaming channel. And there was actually 2 other gaming channels going at the same time with non-podcast crew. They were just Discord members that had decided to hook up together and start playing things together on TTS. And I just went, that's awesome that we've been able to give people an opportunity or a way to be able to do that, particularly during COVID when people are just stuck at home and not having ways to be able to game with people. I was really proud that was happening.
I have to say, with the Discord thing, I'd never used Discord or Facebook really before meeting you guys. I set that all up, but Discord is just so much more like intimate. I find that I get to know these people way faster and on a different kind of level to Facebook, because I don't really know social media platforms as well as you guys. But just the guys in Discord, I don't know if it's because there's not a small number of people in there. There's hundreds of people in there now.
Yeah.
Like, that's no joke. And it starts at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and people talking there all the way through the day. And I expect there's probably people talking in there now, but it's really cool. And it's not all just board games. Like, everyone has different hobbies. They share different pictures from their home lives and different things. Like, someone will be cooking something. They're like, I'm cooking this. And, you really
recorded some music and put it up there.
Yeah. Some guy trying to play something, but yeah, Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. But it's really good. Like the sharing of different things, not just board game knowledge, but just other knowledges is really cool. Like I like to grow things, and I put plants up there, and people talk about the plants they grow, and people grow mulberries, and it's just like this crazy. Like, why are you all laughing? Why are you laughing?
No, sorry.
Legal plants. Legal plants. Yeah.
Whoa. What are you insinuating?
Whoa.
But people were talking about coffee beans for days.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were like,
Yeah.
wow, I want to
It's
grow my own
really
coffee.
good. And like, I would just say that to other people that are listening that might think, I have to get around to trying that. It's really worth it because the community in there is so much more, I suppose, tight knit would be the word. Like,
Yeah,
it just,
sure.
it just has that
absolutely.
really family feel to it, and it's really cool. And I never ever in a million years expected that. And I really like it. I really like everyone in there is really lovely and respectful, and it's just a great atmosphere in there. So yeah.
Just went and checked just to verify that 280 we're at the moment.
Yeah.
As of today.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
280
much.
people in
Thank you to
Discord.
thanks
all
for
our
doing
Discord members. That is fantastic. That
You're all awesome.
It's
And you're
amazing
right.
to think that we've given like all these people around Australia and the world a platform to all meet each other and become friends. And if one of us or one of our members travel around the world, they might have a game waiting for them. 5,000 kilometers overseas. Somebody's going to welcome them into their home and have a game somewhere else. I think that's a beautiful thing. The way we've helped people come together, and it's beautiful.
And it blows my mind. I think back, we sit here talking about 280 people that we've got members in Discord in the community. And I think back to the time that the first person joined.
Yeah. I don't remember that.
Were you all
of
just
us,
like,
we were
hello?
freaking out. We're like, what are we going to do
In the
when
welcome
someone
chat,
joins?
it was like, hello. Hey.
We're all bombarding you with questions. How'd you find us? What's your name? What do you like? What games do you play?
Where'd you come from? How do you know we're here?
Tell us something. Play with us.
You gotta say something to them. It's a real person.
You're right, because everyone's
Is it a
like,
bot?
does anyone? No, we're all in the admin chat going. Does anyone know who this is? Like, is this whose friend
Is
is
it one of Connor's relatives?
Everybody go speak to this person. I hear you all talking about, how we have this community, and now there's people there that, create such a family atmosphere. And my mind keeps going back to, it's not just people that we talk to, it's people we play games with. And my mind keeps going further aside to that and goes, well, achievements. Let me think about that. How much money have all these people spent because of us?
the welcome board game companies around the world.
Just this crew
where's the
here has
commission?
probably put up, thousands of dollars when I spoke about Nemesis, and you all went, oh, we need to back this game. We need to back this game.
I
And then,
resisted.
we had a playthrough of
I've got
Gaia Project
nothing in my wallet.
I saw
Thanks to
some
you.
moths. Some moths just flew out of that can. I'm pretty sure.
with Steve and I think it was Thomas from Germany. And halfway through, I go, "Hey, Thomas, do you like the game?" And he goes, "Oh, I just purchased it." So we hadn't even
It's so
finished
scary.
the play.
Yeah. I think between like Isaac started that chain of the barrage thing because we were
Yes.
all like, oh, barrage.
He's got a lot to answer for.
Oh my word. Like you got it, I got it, and I think Steve's got it now. And
Def's
I must
got it.
Def's got it.
Got
I
it on the
think
way.
Dan's
Jules
got it
is
on the
planning.
way.
Jules is
Yeah,
planning to
Jules
buy
buying
it.
Jules buying it. I
I don't think
know
you've played
for a
another game since
fact-
then, have you, Adrian?
Pretty much. I've played a lot of that.
He lives in the barrage box.
Yeah.
now.
It is his
There's
favorite
like-
game.
There is like
Yeah,
This
it's my
week.
favorite
It's
game.
his favorite
there
game
is
this
like
week.
there must be at least 10 people
Yeah.
other than us from the Discord that
Oh,
have
yeah.
definitely bought that game.
Mhm.
And I remember playing it with two guys. I can't remember if it was Sam and Damo or Damo and Scott or somebody. And I remember playing it, and halfway through the game, same thing, Def. One of them had already bought it, and by the end of the game, the other one had bought it. So it was two games
Yeah.
by the end of the one game, and that was on TTS. It wasn't even the real game. Like it's.
I remember playing a game with
so
you,
funny.
Adrian, where I think it might have been Sam. I think his partner works
Yeah.
in a hydroelectric plant or something. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
you're buying this game. Like that's
He had said that like, oh, the theme should really gravitate, to because I think it's either his mum or his partner's mum also does the same thing, like a similar job. So yeah, I was like, well, there you go. That's your game for Christmas sorted.
Yeah.
You'll be
Yeah.
playing that for sure.
Doesn't it just feel like work at that point?
I don't know.
It's interesting. It's an interesting thing you bring up, though. Like I've purchased so many games because of you guys, And I think Adrian was the first
Anyone
one
in
who said it.
particular?
No, it's a fair spread. It's a fair spread. Yeah. But Adrian actually mentioned it the first, and I thought that is so true. Adrian's like, oh, there's a board game sale going on. I'm going to buy Blackout Hong Kong. I'm like, oh, okay. What's your reasoning behind that? He's on, because every other game I buy, you guys have already talked about on the podcast. So I need something else to talk about.
Yeah, that's true.
Still on his oath list, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
That's the reason I buy kids games. You guys don't buy them.
I buy some.
Yeah.
I try to rope my son into playing them.
No, definitely the community.
Burn
is
Cycle.
awesome.
That's a kids game, is it, Sarah?
Yeah. Full deluxe pledge and everything.
No more Kickstarters for the year. Oh,
Please.
Mark, listen.
Well, that's actually
I think
pretty
he's
good.
a few behind, so it's okay. It'll be too late by then.
That's a pretty good segue, actually. Let's talk about Kickstarter.
Kickstarter?
Yeah, let's
Sarah's head just drops.
What is this Kickstarter you speak of?
or is it like Fight Club? We don't talk about Kickstarter.
No, we can talk
I was
about
just interested to know. We first started the show. We had a Kickstarter segment, and we all had a lot of content. And then we kind of every week said, "Oh, have we got?" I said, "Oh, well, let's talk about it. And if the show runs long, we'll cut it out or whatever else." For whatever reason, it became less important to talk about.
We got some feedback that some people weren't too crash hard on it either, for whatever reason. So
I think it's a polarizing kind of thing because people who are pretty newish to the hobby don't tend to buy that many Kickstarters, and they still listen to the show and they want to know about games they can sort of get now.
Go and buy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, for me, like I'm one of those people, like some of you have said, I sort of back a Kickstarter, sometimes just having a quick graze over it and go, that looks pretty interesting. I'm just going to back it. It looks like my kind of game. So if I go to talk about it in the podcast, I don't really know what I'm talking about. It's hard to say much other than, hey, I'm buying this game.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that, Mike. I've said that a few times. Like, I don't really know what it is, but I liked the 2.5-minute video that I watched, and I spent $100.
Well, Kickstarter's a bit of a
Mm.
luxury spend, though. I mean, it is a bit of a risk, and you often don't know what you're getting.
Don't say that. That's on our necessities list on our schedule and budget for the year. It's under necessities. Don't let them know. It's not.
I also wondered too because we record, I guess, 2 episodes a week, 4 episodes a fortnight. The Kickstarters themselves, they tend to run for at least 2 weeks. So if we're backing the same thing, we don't really like to repeat what we've talked about in quick succession. So I kind of, I remember when, I can't remember what it's called, the pirate game with the
Dead Reckoning.
Dead Reckoning. And I was like, I'll talk about that. No, I already talked about it. And there was like 3 that I'd backed. And I was like, well, that's fine. Like, you
that's true.
are all better at explaining stuff than me. So
yeah, surprise. The games that are getting lots of hype, everyone seems to want to talk about. So
Yeah.
But in all
We all
fairness,
back the same ones.
I know that we don't really want to discuss it necessarily, but there's some really good ones at the minute.
There are.
really, really good ones at the minute. I just think,
Why don't we? Can we touch on a few of those?
Yeah, let's do it.
Endless Winter. Come on, Endless Winter.
Endless
That's
Winter looks amazing.
phenomenal looking. I know someone that's backed that in this room, I believe.
You're labeling people now.
I'm not allowed to mention them.
Speak
'cause I don't want to
now.
get in
Naming
trouble.
any names.
Don't want to name any names in case they get the bush.
How are your 12 open ones going, Adrian, that you made mention of and then quickly said not to talk about?
They've multiplied. I think they've grown arms and legs.
They breed when they're next to each other.
Pretty much. Frostpunk's the latest thing that I've got on there with one add-on, and that's it. But there's Burn Cycle looks really, really, really good. Like really good, and I know it's not the cheapest, but it's also not the most expensive. So
The only thing with Burn Cycle, right? And I'm in on Burn Cycle.
Have you bought it already?
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay, there you go. All right. That's
but
your no more buying games thing out of the way then?
No.
There was an
I
early
should no more
pledge.
buying old games.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
I'm
There's a
allowed to buy new
clause in
games.
there. There's a little clause at the bottom in the fine print. It's
Change
like,
his tune pretty
"You're allowed to
quickly."
buy new games.
But see, my sort of theory with the chip theory games, because they're so hard to get and they only retail through the website and whatever. So for us in Australia, always going to get slogged with heaps of shipping costs anyway. For me, it's easy to jump on board early where you get a little bit of a discount because it is part of the Kickstarter. You're going to be a little bit cheaper than retail. And then if you want to, then there's going to be there's going to be add-ons, there's going to be expansions, there's going to be other stuff that's going to come. If you at least get that first bit out of the way, then that's the
That's
big
how
chunk
they
done.
get you.
Yeah, it's a good
That's how they
done.
get you.
Yeah, they have a great business model. That's for sure.
You spend that big, like $100, and then when the expansion comes out, then the nice, pretty bits and that, you're like, oh, you know what? It's only an extra $42 to get that. That's not that
Add an
expensive.
extra
Yeah,
zero to the end of that.
But it's easier
Yeah,
to
for
break
their
it up.
games, yeah.
rather
I'm
than
already spending
going-
half a K. Let's just keep going.
Yeah,
And it is expensive.
Round
Yeah,
up.
I don't know what Adrian's talking about. It is an expensive game. Like the base
it?
you're looking at. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at like $215 with shipping just for the base. Now that's an
Oh,
expensive
wow.
game.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
it was that expensive.
US dollars, Adrian.
It's not Nemesis.
Well, I won't be
it's not
getting that.
Nemesis level, but
It's not euros. When it's in euros, you got to panic.
it's in pounds.
let me double check because
Close the window.
given my budget
Well,
a bit of a heart attack.
let's face it, too. You're gonna buy Bird Cycle, and then we're all gonna pledge and get too many bones as well. Like we just, it's a
Cloud
Fire.
That's what I was worried about.
I know.
That's
Worried about the pledge managers going
Uh,
tick, 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 tick. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
160 plus shipping for the base.
We don't. I mean,
Yeah.
But who's
Yeah, but
buying the
who gets
base?
the
Yeah,
base?
Wow, that was totally my fault. I thought it was.
The deluxe is $295, which is over $400.
Yeah.
I will be getting
We
the
don't-
base only.
Now,
Like-
oh, that's
Now.
that's so control
So
of
you
you,
say.
Sarah.
Yeah. Look at you go.
If you don't have the
We don't-
deluxe,
we don't
are
need
you
two cars.
Are
We
you
can-
really
yeah.
kickstarting?
Exactly. I've got things I could sell. It's fine. Oh dear.
On
Well,
the
one
other-
of the Kickstarters I'm loving at the moment is this Factions Battlegrounds. Have you guys seen that one?
Oh yeah.
I did hear you
Looks
talk
pretty
about
good.
it, Sarah.
Yeah.
it's cool.
It looks really cool. The artwork is insanely beautiful. And it's an arena combat style with no luck. It's like it's all tactical. There's no dice. There's no cards. It's just your like asymmetric powers versus the other person, your army versus the other person's army. So it looks right up my alley because I don't really like games that are highly luck based and they rely on that dice rolling so much. So yeah, and also just as another note, it's basically I think the two designers have really wanted to have a lot of different cultural influences in the game. So it's very diverse in terms of like the art. There's a lot of North American art in there and African influence. It just looks so beautiful and so different and unique. So yeah, I'm back that one as well. I'm in so much trouble.
Sorry, yeah, just back to Burn Cycle. I actually made a mistake. I didn't realize how expensive it was.
Yeah, it's
Is it really worth it? Like, is it worth that kind of coin?
Yeah, we ask that question to ourselves every day.
Yeah.
Can someone?
I know that money goes
can-
into research and
I'm
things
about-
like that and development rather than minis and bits. I know.
yeah, but
that
it's all that
Kickstarter's-
like there's no cardboard in that. It's like a neoprene
It's
mat,
one
and then
of
you
the
have the
only
neoprene
games
rooms
you
that
can
go
play
on top
while
of the
scuba
mat.
diving. That's what you need. To
Look, I'm about to move near Adrian, so can someone convince him that it is good enough to back? That would be really handy. On the total opposite end of that scale, I've backed Hoop Gods.
Nice.
That's got about a week to go, and I backed it because I looked at Rap Gods when that came out on Kickstarter about a year and a half ago, something like that, and I went, "Oh gosh, that artwork looks terrible," and it doesn't look any better for Hoop Gods, I got to say. But I saw a playthrough of Rap Gods, and I went, "Oh, this actually looks really fun." So I actually backed Hoop Gods knowing that I could get Rap Gods included. So I'm hoping the same can be said for Hoop Gods as well, because I don't want to like point fingers at people's artwork because I'm like in stick figure land. But I think my 11-year-old daughter might have been able to do a better job. But it's
I actually don't mind the art.
It's the art that turned me off.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I don't see it. I think it looks all right.
So
I
I'm
know what they're
subscribing to
going
the
for,
Stephen Bonacore theory of it doesn't have to look amazing to be an amazing game. So,
Have you seen the gameplay? Have you seen the gameplay for it, Steve?
not for Hoop Gods, but for Rap Gods, and I immediately was like, "Oh, I wish I got this game." So
I watched
Yeah.
a video on Hoop Gods and it looks really fun because you have this like, you have different cards you want to play. Like if you want to dunk and then the other person's trying to block the dunk, then you're both frantically rolling to see who gets like the combination of dice to be able to do their thing first.
yeah,
So if the block person gets the right combination before you can dunk, then they'll block you
That's
and
cool.
they'll intercept you. So it actually looks really fun because it's like this frantic
yeah.
thing.
They're
And
all
Def Mitch and I
basketball
talked
moves,
about.
Adrian, by the way. Just saying.
What's that?
They're all basketball moves, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
And Def Mitch and I did mention on the podcast that we wanted to create a basketball game. So we got to see what the competition is.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
True.
We should also just quickly mention Half Monster Games. The Trust Me, I'm a Superhero. Like those are the guys. They're local. They're Brisbane based, and we got to play test that one.
That was fun.
time.
That was a good,
There was a good
time,
laugh.
yeah.
Like we did have a good fun time playing
There
it.
was a very strong theme through that play session.
Oh yeah, there was a very dark and strong theme through that whole place, but it was hilarious fun. That's
Yeah.
It's cool seeing the cards now. Actually, the cards actually look a little bit more. They've
don't-
got that. They got that.
Are they all still getting punched in the nuts?
Yeah, no, George Jetson, like a George Jetson kind of the Jetsons kind of
yeah.
vibe to them a little bit. Yeah, that was hilarious. Those stick figures on the prototype were just gold. They made that game for me. I was having a great time. So.
I've been hovering right around that buy button for Townsfolk Tussle.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That looks fantastic. I just love that. The way the minis look and the art looks, that's right up my alley. I'm sure that'll get a backing before it ends.
Have you ever played the video game Cuphead, Mike?
No, I've heard about it.
Yeah.
My housemate loves it. I haven't actually played it.
So the art style's virtually the exact same type
Yeah.
of art style, and I think they said it was an influence. So
Yeah.
that's such a really cool look. That sort of, I don't know, like 1930s, 40s cartoon,
Yeah, it's like
something like
original
that.
Mickey Mouse
Yeah,
kind of
it
era.
just looks
Steamboat
awesome.
Willie.
And I've
Steamboat
heard
Willie,
people
yeah,
say
that's-
it gives a bit of a Kingdom Death Monster feel to the game, which I'm interested in as well.
Oh, okay.
That sounds bizarre.
Yeah, they said it's almost like a less
What a
gory
mashup.
version. I heard someone say it's got that sort of feel to the gameplay.
Mm.
Dan
I've not
says,
played either,
Dan
so I
says
don't
Mickey
know.
Mouse, and then you flip to Kingdom Death Monster. Like,
No, it's like it is.
It's
It's
a
like a
huge jump.
dark. It's like when I say
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse, I mean just the era. Like it's very
Right.
dark.
Yeah, have you played Cupheads then, Connor?
I haven't played it. No,
I've played it. I'm about 40% of the way through the game. It is solid hard.
Yeah, I know, that's
Yeah.
why.
Brutal.
Known for.
So,
Patience.
and it's literally like, yeah, it's just like mapping out the maneuvers. That's all you're doing is mapping maneuvers. You're like, he jumps, you move, do this, he does that, you do this, and you have to land them like 95% accuracy. Otherwise, you might as well not bother. It's really hard, but really fun, and the graphics in that are phenomenal. I think that's got a world record, that video game, for the only hand-drawn video game.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh
cool.
wow.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's.
know that.
I watched a documentary about it. It was really interesting. So.
Cool.
I have to say, I think it has a record because it could have either been beaten or I could have dreamt that. So I have to say, think.
I'll
I'm
say the
starting to
latter.
think. Yeah.
Some other things that we thought we'd mention tonight before we get onto the bracket battle. We talked a lot about our community, but I think it's this came to our attention early on with our Facebook community when Mitch put up the month's top 10 contributors list. And on that list were 9 people that aren't part of the podcast and Adrian. And
How? I don't even know what I do.
the number one contributor was Peter Campbell, and he has continued to be a major contributor to our podcast and to our Facebook page. And it's worth noting that at the moment he is in the middle of a pact where he's playing all of his games. Is that right? Again,
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
His
And I
whole
think-
collection, I think.
his last one was the 23rd game out of 84. So he's and I think it was Corleone's Empire. So, which I'm keen to play because it's on my shelf of shame. And apparently it's like a mafia version of Blood Rage, which
Yeah, I've heard that.
Ooh,
Yeah,
sounds
Is it
pretty
Eric
cool.
Lang? Is it?
yeah,
is
it's
it
Eric Lang. Yeah. So I might.
Peter's like,
out.
you babies doing one oath a week. I'm going to play my entire collection and do a pack.
I was doing two a
Grow
day.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I've
it's just,
actually played that one, Steve. It's pretty cool. It's got like these area control mechanics in it. And I don't know, does Blood Rage have that? Is that area
Yeah, it
control?
does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
for
And then you can
quests.
people will be sleeping with the fishies and things like that. And then you'll be like tucking money in your little suitcase. It's really cool. It's very thematic.
yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Was it him that played Dominant Species with his little kids?
Yeah, that was
Yeah, I think
nuts.
so.
What? I played that with mates and I had to have them walk me through what was happening the whole game because I had no idea. These guys, these bless some genius children because I struggled in that game.
Is anyone else surprised by that statement by Mike?
What? That I played with other people, Mitch?
Well, this is a guy that rates 5 Minute Dungeon as a 3.5 waiting, right?
And so do more people than Nemo's no mates. So.
It'll never die.
No, it will never.
Classic rivalries. I mean, like the Lakers, Celtics.
Speaking of our favorite
Red
moments,
Sox, Mitch and Mike. That's
that's one of my favorite moments of the podcast. I have to say, just that win over Nemo. But like the ongoing rivalry since there and the joking around, that's been a big highlight. Loved it.
I would say the same for the Connor.
That's because you're winning, Mike. That's why.
Exactly.
Love it.
The Connor and Jules banter has been fantastic. But I gotta say, the Connor and Stephen Bonacore banter, that was a whole other level. That was fantastic.
That was phenomenal.
And well done on that too, because the gloves came off. You didn't hold back, regardless of
full Connor.
Who he was.
Full Connor.
Oh, you never go full Connor.
Never go full Connor.
No. Go full Connor. But that was a lot of fun, and listening to a lot of podcasts and listening to Stephen, I was really, really excited to be on there. And I sort of was on there because Root was going up against Terraforming Mars. So it was a bit of kismet, really. It was just a bit of luck. And oh, geez, he was funny. And, he's sort of doing like these ones, like while I'm talking and stuff like that. I was like,
go watch it on YouTube, people.
Please do watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, it was great. I just love when he's like, his first line was like, I should just say because and leave.
And then thinking like, that's what Connor did. That was Connor's tactic before.
Yeah. And the other one he said was,
I said so.
I could agree with you, but we'd both be wrong. I was like, damn it, no.
Got all the answers. Well, another great segue, because I think it's time we resolved that particular bracket battle.
Oh, yes.
This one was interesting. So it started out, Terraforming Mars got a bit of a lead, and then Root came roaring back. I need to have words with Dave from 2D6 Games
Shenanigans.
about that. I thought he was a good guy. And then he went and got all these people to rally around Root.
He went rogue.
So it was only natural that in response we got some people to rally around Terraforming Mars, which did make a romping comeback. But was it enough? So this bracket battle had 472 votes. Across 3 platforms, which is Instagram, Facebook page, and Facebook group. Facebook page wasn't really pulling its weight. It only had 14, but we'll still count them. So before I announce the winner, who's in Camp Terraforming Mars? If it was the
Me.
9, if it's the 9 of us voting, who's in Camp Terraforming Mars?
Yes.
Me.
1, 2, 3.
All the correct people.
I don't know. Like, I haven't played it for such a long time. And I only have But I
What do you mean,
want
I
the
don't
fact
know?
Can I qualify my vote?
I'm changing. I'm going to Root. It's the only game I've beaten you all at.
Now,
True.
this would be the second game that you put up on the bracket and voted against.
Yeah,
it is.
My favorite
Feel
games
sorry
change
for it.
week by week. You all know this.
You haven't even played Root yet, have you?
Yeah,
He did.
Oh,
He played it
okay.
with us.
I beat you.
Can I qualify
that's-
that?
And you were like,
That's
you were
not an
like,
achievement.
yeah, because you were like, how did you even win? What happened? 'Cause I
after
just-
playing Root for
That's
the first
every
time a
game of
couple of
Root.
weeks ago, I probably would vote for Root as the game that I prefer. However, and I don't know if anyone else is in the same boat, but I find that my voting is being swayed by my tipping. The tipping comp.
No.
No, I've already been at the bottom of that list for so long.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I
it
doesn't matter.
There's no way back for me, so that's fine. I can vote with my heart again. I think that was a 6-3 vote for us. So that was, what's that, 66% for the winners. So Terraforming Mars had 259 votes. Root had 213.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's very close.
Yeah, very close.
Finally.
55% of the vote. Terraforming Mars goes through. Root is rooted. It's,
Can you throw that box now, Connor? Let's give Root a throw.
Would never throw such lovely components like that.
yeah, that's because he never gets it off the shelf. That's, so that is our third round through to the quarterfinals goes Terraforming Mars. It is our number 1 seed, so it should get an easy run. So we'll see what comes up against next. But we got to set up the next battle, which is again, the reason we chose this battle is because a lot of us have played these games that are going up. So there should be some interesting banter here. So Codenames versus Everdell. Now, I'm not quite sure. I think was it Connor that put Codenames up?
I did put code names up, but I'm totally pulling an Adrian and
I
for
think
Evedell.
I looked Codenames up as well.
It's so much better than Codenames. It's not even funny. The only thing that
Can we
Wow.
just? Do we have to like get people to vote? Then can we just?
the only thing that,
Sorry.
that Codenames has it over Everdell is it's much faster to set up and put away because you have to put up a giant tree.
But it's faster to not play anything too, and we're not voting for not play anything. It's like
You guys are all throwing shade on Codenames. I'm sorry, but that's a great game. I don't know whether it's bracket battle quarterfinals worthy, but I'll be the controversial one here and say I've played Everdell. It's nice. It's not the best worker placement game. It's not the best tableau building game. It's just a nice game that looks pretty with a problematic tree that if you pull it apart too many times, it's going to break, or if you leave it set up, it's going to get dust all over it. So I'm
100% with you.
I'm not as big a fan as other people, but it's a good game. It might even be a great game, but it's not even the best in its class. So where I would say Codenames would be in that discussion as one of the better party games out there. So
Yeah.
it's a tricky one for me. I'm a big fan of Codenames. It comes out every time we have people over. So
I thought the same about Codenames, but I've had so many games of that where people just slowed the game down so much that it was just not a party game anymore. It was like, dude, just pick a clue. Like, why do people do that? Why do they think
They
too
get
much about Codenames?
paralysis.
Because
And
they
then-
end up talking though. Like when it's your turn and you're having your go, the other people, they're not thinking about the game. They're talking about the footy or the soccer and blah blah blah. And it's like, oh, it's my go. Oh crap! I better think of a.
But that's the
clue.
thing as
I
well.
don't
You
know.
don't have to when it's not your turn. You're not necessarily as engaged in the game, which is
Yeah.
one thing I think is against
You
code
can
names.
be.
that's
You
it.
could be
Yeah.
like throwing off with clues. I know it could be that, and it could be this.
That's the best
Yeah,
part
I
of the
mean-
game.
I
That's-
love
Yes,
that.
in the right
Yeah.
group. Yes,
in the
If-
right group
if-
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jules
But I
trying
think
to
that
ruin
other
someone
games
else's
have
game.
kind of.
Yeah.
Unheard of,
See
Mitch.
that.
I feel
So,
like
hang
other
on.
games have done similar but better than Codenames now.
So what
Yeah.
I'm hearing is to enjoy Codenames, you have to have the right group, lots of beers, people thinking straight,
And be a
11-year-olds.
13-year-old girl. Isn't that what you said last time?
11-year-olds. There's a whole bunch of
Hang on, being
requirements to
11-year-olds,
enjoy
we're not
that.
we're not encouraging that, are we?
Yeah. Well, being drunk and 11 is not something that the Board Game
No,
Barbecue
no, no,
podcast condones.
Just
It's not
disclaimer.
right.
I'm interested to see how this one goes because Codenames has a lot of fans and so does Everdell. I personally think Everdell will win this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Codenames snuck its way into the fourth round.
Codenames already knocked out some big players.
It did.
Who did it
And
knock
when
out?
it was released, it was smashed into
Can
the
you
scene. It was a
Yeah.
huge hit.
Yeah.
Like
Can you remember-
And
massive.
I understand
think-
why as well.
Last
Can you
round
see
it
who-
beat
yeah.
Through the Ages.
I'm just
That was Def was up against it, and who did it win in the first round? It was a big
I-
one in the first round.
What
I'm
do you
just
call?
looking it
What
up.
do you call through the ages?
I
Mitch?
thought it didn't it
Took
beat
ages.
Decrypto? Didn't it go up against something similar?
No,
No,
they're
no.
different brackets.
No, it was this crazy thing we were doing, comparing apples and
They
oranges.
would, yeah, they would have been too similar. They would have been
Ice
too
cream and
similar.
pretzels.
Yeah,
apples and bicycles.
yeah.
All right, I'm just going to look. I'm looking up now, so I'm just going to find what the path to the third
I
round.
think
these
as
two
well,
games
like
took.
another thing as well, we have to say just real fast. Everdell has had what 3 expansions, big box,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
without getting the deluxe version, you've got the 2 small packets of cards that you can get, the legendary
Mhm.
heroes and the extra.
Mhm.
And then, but Codenames has got Marvel Codenames,
Yeah.
Disney Codenames,
Star
Simpsons.
Wars code,
Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
pictures,
Harry Potter. Yeah, like there's a mixture of
Undercover.
yeah,
Mhm.
of it. So it can,
Codenames duet, like
yeah, it appeals
Yeah.
to a big market. I think Codenames is a really good gateway game for anyone that hasn't played a game apart from say Monopoly and Twister and things like that, Jenga. But I think Everdell's lies in that one that you guys were talking about the other day when you're talking about next step games. I think
Yeah.
Everdell's one of those
Yeah.
next step games.
Yeah,
that
true.
So
because it has a little bit of everything. It's got the worker
Yeah.
placement, it's got the tableau build, it's got the resource management,
yeah,
and it's just got enough. And you said, Steve, and rightfully so, it's not the best at either one of them, but I think the way it works all of them together just works
It's
so
good.
well. And obviously, you're throwing the art as to top it off. The art carries it a
Yes.
long way.
More than probably
oh
should.
yeah, 100%, definitely.
Well, I've got the paths up here. So
Mhm.
Everdell beat Chronicles of Crime in the first round,
Oh.
Right.
quite convincingly too, which is a surprise. then Cosmic Encounter, it absolutely smashed Cosmic Encounter. And now it's up against Codenames. Codenames beat Cartographers in round 1.
Ooh,
Wow.
yeah.
By
Wow,
one,
really?
None of us were happy.
one vote.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, that's crazy.
Assuming my stats are correct, but I do believe that was the episode where Mitch went to try to go back and vote again. And it took his vote off.
Removed his vote.
Oh, yeah, that was our argument. I remember that.
And then it beat through the ages. So yeah.
That was a great episode, Mitch. I had a great time recording that.
I think that's where we went into the was that the King's Regions?
Yeah, that was Sarah's fault.
We went into the King's region. Oh dear.
Well,
that's where Sarah got her beige name from. Queen
Yeah.
of Beige.
Yeah.
That comes from that episode.
Yeah.
Because you were
El
pushing El Grande, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
I was.
Up a very
Queen of
steep
Beige.
hill.
Mm.
Well, now it's time for your vote. So this, as per usual, will be available on our Board Game Barbecue Facebook community page. Just go there and vote with the emoji that you for the game that you prefer, and also on our Instagram story. So check it out there, or on our Facebook Board Game Barbecue story. Let's see if we can get those votes up from 14 to something a bit more substantial. But it'll be live when this goes live, and it'll run until the next episode. So get in quick, get your vote counted. And don't wait around for the mail-ins. There's not that ton of time. We need to get this done. So there we have it. That is the bracket.
Just on the voting, how funny was it that Stephen voted for Root last round?
That is funny.
Hilarious.
Awesome. He saw the battle and went, "Oh, that's great. I'll like that." And he actually gave a like to Root instead of his own game.
And then I asked him what was going on, and he's like, "No, he did." But
Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
I asked him what was going on, and he had he thought I was saying, "Why aren't you my friend on Facebook?"
Why are you my friend?
I highlighted the picture of him with the heart, and it says "add friend" next to it, and he's like, "I just sent you a friend request." I'm like, "No." I mean, thank you, but no, you voted for Root.
Oh, that is hilarious gold.
By the way, while we're on this subject, who is the one that keeps doing the official Board Game Barbecue vote? Someone gets in there like immediately. Which one is it? Which one is it?
I'll be honest. I've changed it a few times. I get on there. I'm like, no way. Board Game Barbecue's voting for that.
You can't change it. I don't think you can change it because I've tried. I've tried to change it.
Yeah, you can take it off.
Yeah, if you log into Board Game Barbecue, you can go in and change it there. Yeah.
Well, then that means that I've been online while this person has been online. It's one of you. And we keep just like going back and forth. Who is it?
Definitely 100% have done it once
Yeah.
by accident
It's
because
you,
I was
Adrian.
logged in. No. I would tell you if it was me all the time because I take great pride in it. But I did it once by accident. And then I was like, oh, I better unclick it. And I just unticked it. And then I had to then log out of my account because that's when I had to ask Jules, like, why am I logged into this? I don't know how to get out. I need to swap accounts, and freaked out.
Hey, Steve, just remind me how
Adrian.
many votes did Too Many Bones beat Guy Pressures by?
That was
2
pretty
votes?
close too. Yeah, it's like 2.
Like
Oh.
mine and Board Game Barbecue.
So you finally
never know.
you finally got that extra vote in.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave.
We'll leave the bracket there, but get out there and vote. It's been a load. That's also something that we never expected to be as big as it has been. I think the moment when we went, oh wow, was when Fantasy Flight Games shared it on their page.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was kind of like
I wonder how you won that one, Connor.
Yeah.
that was against Gloomhaven. Yeah.
Not what you know, so you know.
Yeah.
That's right.
And thank you to the members who actually take it the right way. You know, we get some comments that people like, why comparing
that's
this to your games? It's like,
Yeah.
thank you for saying, you know, like if there's 2 tables and the game's on both, which game would you go play? It's as simple as that. You don't have to question why we're comparing them. Just compare them. Which one would you go play if you had the option?
Yeah.
And the answer is always 5-minute dungeon.
Thank you for clarifying that. I didn't know till this point.
And also, thanks for sharing it. It's really cool that people do share it and take it upon themselves to go, like, you know, I want my game to win.
Except
I'm
when it
going to do it.
matters.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't mind. I don't think I've got anything really left in the race, but I like that people are like, I want my game to win. Like, I think this is a better game to me. So
Yeah, it's all a bit of fun, right?
Yeah,
it's
for
just
sure.
about having a good time and
Yeah,
enjoying the game. So.
it's a laugh, and the banter it creates is hilarious because everyone gets really defensive over their games really quickly, which is crazy.
It's worth noting when I put it on Terraforming Mars page today. There was a guy commented and it was basically just running Root into the ground, saying, "I can't believe people would ever vote for Root in this. There's nowhere near as good." And then all these people jumped on, going, "Oh, let's settle down. Like they're both pretty good games." And he was just unrelenting. He was just going on and on and on. And I'm like, I ended up just going in there and saying, "It's all good, man. It's just for fun. Like, just vote for what you want. It's okay."
Maybe I need to confess it was my alias.
Well, the funny thing about Connor's comment about me having a beard on the show last time is after the episode, he was like, "I apologize to you in advance, Sarah." And straight away, I was like, "Are you picking on my games?" Like, I thought it was something. I thought he'd said something about my games.
It's just me.
Like,
It's fine.
Oh no, he said,
yeah, that's right. I was like, "Oh, okay." Sure.
Yeah.
Go with that.
As long as you're not picking on the games, we're good.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
And yeah, actually, I think you said something about beige as well. I was like, "Oh, if it's the beige."
I did not.
Yeah, I was like, "Were you picking on my games, tasting games?" No. Is it because I like beige? No. Okay, then you can say
Must
whatever
be
you
the beard then.
want. Must be my facial hair
It
problem.
must be the beard.
Well, we'll leave the bracket there. We'll move on with a few things.
Sorry.
A few other things.
I have to say, just one more thing. When you all both hung him out to dry was the best bit about that. You were like, you're on your own there, Connor.
Well, he was,
Mike.
and he will
I just
tell
think
you
you
that
want
he
to
asked
borrow
us in pre-production whether he wanted
Yeah.
to say whether he should say it, and both Mike and I are like, "Ah, man, you're on
Dig
your
your
own."
own grave, mate. Dig your own
I
grave.
don't recall that at all. So. My memory
We
is fucked.
certainly did egg him on to have a crack at Bonacore, though.
yeah,
that
for
definitely
sure.
happened. But,
Well, the thing I want to know is, does Stephen Bonacore actually think that I have like a real issue with my facial hair?
he
might.
legitimately,
We'll
he
find out.
legitimately looked confused.
Yeah, he did. He was like,
He's like
"Oh,
your
she,
friend.
she has facial hair."
I
Like,
thought you were that chick in the Greatest Showman movie.
oh, is that why we have so many new members?
Maybe.
Just wanted to come and check out the freak.
Diversity.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on from the bracket for the
Number 4.
Sure.
I'm sorry about that.
We're not even talking about the bracket anymore. It doesn't matter. But I thought that this last part of the show, we're going to just talk about a few of the things that are coming up. There's some that are happening pretty well straight away, and there's some that are happening in the next couple of weeks. So this is what we've got in store for you guys moving forward. So the first thing sorry, Adrian.
Can I just say one quick thing before we move on to the last pieces? Sorry. The Sizzling members, we haven't given them like a massive shout out. I'd like to just give them a massive shout out. We
Yeah.
have a Sizzling members part in our Discord channel, and these guys, they help us so much with organizing games, getting content out there.
They contribute to the show.
Contribute to the show. They put questions to ask our guests. They help us with the subject matters for week by week. So those guys, like every single one of them, we really appreciate everything they've done
Absolutely.
and contribute.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So
And if you're
thanks
wondering-
very much, guys.
If you're wondering who they are, we've mentioned a lot of their names already because they do so
Yeah.
much. Like it's it can't be said enough. They are awesome.
I'm so scared to mention any names in case I missed one, and I'd be really mad at myself. So I'm doing a no-name policy.
Fair enough. Well, so yeah, we'll get on to what we've got coming forward. The first thing we wanted to mention is something that we're launching right now. It's live now, and we have decided to set up a Patreon for the podcast. So if you're not familiar with what a Patreon is, it's basically where you guys can offer some sponsorship to help us run the show that we run. Now, we talked long and hard about this because we don't like asking people for money, but what it's about, it's not so much asking people for money. It's if you enjoy our content and you appreciate the work that we do, and you would like to give back to us for that, it would be much appreciated. And we do spend a fair bit of our own hard-earned on this podcast. As you can see, if you're watching on video, or you can hear through your mic, through your headsets, we've all got decent cameras that we've all decent microphones that we've all gone out and bought, decent headsets, recording equipment, etc. The software that we use to record the podcast and edit the podcast is not free. It costs money. Our web hosting, our Podbean, which is our podcast hoster, there are lots of ongoing costs. And
Discord.
So we just want to point out that it's we're not asking for money. We're not saying that if we don't get money, we're not going to run the podcast, but it would be nice to not have that financial burden and be able to just focus on content. And that's why we're doing this. So that's going to go live. The link will be in our show notes. We'll also be promoting it a little bit over the next couple of weeks. We're not going to flog it forever. We're going to talk about it for a few weeks, and then we're going to drop it and leave it for 6 months. And then we'll probably talk about it again then, because we don't want to just be out here saying, give us money for too long. So what you need to know about the Patreon is this. Firstly, we're going through Patreon website. So you'll be able to find us there, as I said, or via the links that we provide in the show notes. There are 3 different levels. So the first level is just $5 a month. And that will get you access to not only all the content that we already do, which everyone has access to, but you'll get exclusive access to podcasts that are specifically designed for our Patreons. Some of the things that we are doing there is we're doing special 12 days of Christmas podcasts leading up to Christmas. We also going to do some spoiler podcasts. So Sarah and I might get on and talk about Gloomhaven. Adrian and Def and Dan might get on and talk about Pandemic Legacy. So you can actually tune in, because that's one of the things about those legacy games is that you create this great story, and then you can't talk about it with anyone. Well, this will be an opportunity, and we'll make it very clear that they're spoiler episodes. So we don't want to ever put one of those out publicly, because we don't want people to not listen. But of course, in a Patreon thing, it'll be different. With just a lot of extra content, we Q&A sessions and things like that. So that's the $5 amount, nice and simple. We then have a higher tier amount, which gets you everything that the $5 amount gets, but it also allows you to become an instant. We talked about Sizzling members. You can become a Sizzling member if you're not already. So joining on that level gets you access to that. That's where we discuss upcoming episodes, upcoming guests, questions that you want asked on the show. I can tell you right now that there's been a few topics that we have done on the show that have directly come from those Sizzling members. So they have an impact on the show for sure. And that's our way of being thankful to you for being so generous. You get to join that group, as well as still get all of that extra content. And then the last level is a higher level, and it offers all those things as well. But it also gets you some merch. So that's another thing we're announcing tonight, is that we're starting up a merchandise store. You can get some Board Game Barbecue stuff. You might see, if you're watching us on camera, that a few of us are wearing the shirts. So yeah, if you go at that level, anyone can buy merch, but if you're at that level, you'll receive a merch pack every 3 months with some bits and pieces from the podcast. There'll at least be a shirt or a hoodie or something, and a few other bits and pieces as well, on top of extra content, and also shout out on the show. And you'll also get mentioned in our show notes as someone who has contributed to the podcast. So if that sounds like it's interesting to you, check out the levels. And if you can't give, that's totally cool. We're not asking for money. We're just saying, if you would like to, that's what we're doing that for. And that will help us grow over the next few years. We have some huge plans over the next few years that involve conventions, retreats, lots of different things that we want to involve.
Videos.
Yeah, YouTube videos for sure. One of the things that we talked about on that Patreon, when you read the description, is that we want to get better quality cameras so that we can do more video work. So yeah, there's a lot of things, but the Patreon is a big thing for us, and it's a big step, but hopefully with your support, we'll be able to grow the show even better than we have been so far. Whew.
Well done.
How exactly do we find that, Steve?
Yeah.
What's that?
So we find that on the Patreon site?
Yes, on the Patreon site, and then, as I said, we'll share it on all of our socials as well. So you'll be able to find links to it via Facebook, Discord, Instagram, etc. But also in the show notes of this episode and coming episodes as well.
We'll put a link on the website too.
Yeah.
For sure. So that's probably the big thing that we're starting up, because that's going to lead into all these other things that we're going to talk about, which we're going to be doing into the future. I touched on merch. I might throw to Jules because my mouth's drying up after all that. I'll let Jules handle the merch.
Yeah, so we're going to be launching a store for all the merch. It'll be your standard sort of things: t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, all kinds of different things. Maybe even a board game barbecue apron, if that's the thing you sort of want to rock at the barbecue. Summer's coming up, so that'll be ready. I can't give a date, but it'll be soon, and we'll put it on Facebook and Discord and everywhere, so you won't be able to miss it. But that's just another little way. We'll get a small kickback. It's only going to be a few dollars if you buy a t-shirt. It's not very much, but it's just a way to help us continue to, run this podcast and provide you guys the entertainment that you've been enjoying to date. So keep your eye open for that. It's, a couple of us have already gotten shirts. We're really happy with the quality. It looks pretty fresh. So yeah, I can't wait to see your photos out there of you wearing the Board Game Barbecue merch.
Yeah, join the Board Game Barbecue crew. That's what it's about.
That's it.
And I'm going to throw to Adrian, because Adrian's really been the pioneer for the next thing, which is we talked about
like a rabbit in headlights.
What have I done?
Take it away, Adrian. So for those who aren't aware, we were really heavily involved in the virtual gaming con that was on earlier in the year, and it was really excellent. And that's I think that's where our Discord community kind of started to grow. Yeah. And we loved it. We had a great time. So unfortunately, I won't be much of a part of it because I'm moving house that weekend. But a few of us are going to be on. Adrian's going to talk about it. This is the board game the BGG at Home Con coming up soon.
So the BGG at Home Con is basically just a way for other gamers all around the world to meet each other, to play other types of board games over Tabletopia, BGA. Some people just run Discord things with like Ultimate Werewolf, or there's Tabletop Simulator. I have a bunch of games up there already. A lot of them are actually full as well already, but you just have to Google BGG at Home 2020, and then you just sign up, and you can do a search. All of the games that I personally am hosting, and I think some of the other guys that are hosting have put Board Game Barbecue in the title. So once you've become a member, I think you pay $10 for a ticket, and then you can play as many games as you want.
Yep.
So you just pay your $10, and then you can come in and hang out and play games with people from all around the world. A lot of these people, I don't know any of them, so it'll be quite fun and quite interesting to meet people. They could be from anywhere. So yeah, it runs from the 18th of November to the 22nd of November. And yeah, it's just lots of different games, lots of different people. So there's even, I believe, like hosted events from bigger companies, like board game companies and stuff. So I probably won't attend many of those because I went to a bunch of the Spiel, but I'll be playing lots of games over that period. So
I think Adrian's single-handedly hosting half the events for it. So
yeah,
I need to do.
Barrage. Then it's a Wonderful World Res Arcana. There you go. It's like dessert at the end. Dessert and cheese. Yeah. So yeah, it's really good. It's really fun. Like I honestly definitely think that's where our Discord started. I think Steve played a bunch of games through that, and I played only a couple at the very beginning because I didn't really understand how to use it. But it's definitely a lot more polished now for finding events. But yeah, that's definitely a great way to meet people, especially because COVID was the big thing at the time. So yeah.
One of my fondest memories of VGC Con was it was towards the end of the con, and we'd played a few games, taught a few games as a group to many different people, and then we all came together and played a game of Cartographers, which was astounding. But we had a guy jump in and just watch us for a bit. The last game I played in the convention, I attempted to play, was the Networks, and I've come in late, and that guy, he's actually joined. I think it's Adam from Texas. he was talking to the others about these mad group of Australians that were playing cartographers the night before. I'm like, hey, how you going?
Mad Australia number 3.
How you going? It was really cool. So it just shows again how small this community really is, and how everyone just is happy to be in each other's company. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was 10 Aussie dollars, was it, Adrian?
I think it's
American.
It might be US.
Okay.
It's hosted in Dallas, but if you host a game, I believe you can get in for free.
Yes.
But you have to organize that and submit the times and
they approve it.
schedule it, and it gets approved, and you need to let everybody, basically they join your game, and you'll see in the scheduled list who is joining your game. So you'll know if people are turning up. Then they assign you a number,
a room
on their Discord, and you join the room. So I've actually, for the 7 games that I'm hosting so far, I've been given the same room every time. So maybe they're just allocating me my ID for the same room, possibly.
Yeah.
If they can, they will.
Sense.
Yeah.
But even if you're not assigned to play, if you look at the times and stuff and see when they're on, you're more than welcome to hop in and join and watch the games, and we can just talk and chill out. So yeah, anybody's welcome.
And you set them up for Aussie times, I suppose, Aussie friendly
Aussie Adrian times.
Yeah, my times. I think one of my games for Barrage starts at 5 a.m. Queensland time. So if anyone's keen, that's cool. Like, but yeah, because of the time differences and stuff, it's quite hard to remember all the times. So yeah, it's like 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. Chicago time, which I think is 11 p.m. Brisbane time. So that's my first game on the opening day. And then I'm just playing games throughout that period. So
awesome.
And there'll probably be times where there's like downtime and I'm not doing anything, and I'll just be like, let's just play a game, so people can just join our Discord and we can play a game privately in there. So,
and it won't just be Adrian as well. The other guy,
no, the whole
podcast will jump on every now and again as well. Yep. But Adrian's certainly flying the flag. There's no doubt.
I booked days off for this.
Well, look, that pretty much rounds us up for tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a bit of a, like it's almost like when you watch your favorite TV show and they do a recap episode, like the Simpsons 138th episode spectacular or something along those lines. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we really hope that you come back for episode 51. Just a bit of a teaser of what's coming up on the podcast in the next couple of months. So as we mentioned, we're leading up into Christmas. We're going to be doing a couple of top 10s. So we'll be talking about our top 10 games we played this year. So that's not necessarily 2020 games. That's just games that we've played for the first time in 2020. We'll also do our top 10 games of all time. So we're still trying to work out exactly how we're going to do that, whether we're going to do an all-in video and countdown. But top 10 games of all time. And we're going to make those annual traditions. So we're going to go back to them each year. We did talk about doing a top 10 games of 2020, and we may actually do that for the Patreon, because it's a bit hard to play 2020 games in Australia, at least 10 of them, and 10 good ones at that. So we'll see how we go. We might make that a top 5 list or something. But yeah, there's obviously with games, for example, one of the biggest games of the year for us has been Barrage, and it came out in 2019. Didn't come out in Australia in 2019, but it's not a 2020 game. So we'll obviously talk about that in the future. But we've got the top 10's coming. We've still got some amazing guests coming up as well, and maybe some guests you may not have heard of as well. So some indie producers and whatnot. So that's all coming up in the future. But of course, you'll have all 9 of us hopefully keeping you entertained. And thank you again for the last 50 episodes, everyone who's listened. It's amazing to see the amount of people that have. I remember that we celebrated like it was the year 2000 when we hit our 1000th download, and that took like a month to get, and we were all around just refresh, and we average more than that in a week now, and that's just incredible. So thank you all again. Massive thanks to the 8 of you guys, and to all of our listeners, and to our pit. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Here's to 50 more.
Jeez.
Everyone grab your crumpet drink.
This was raspberry jam crumpet that I. Very good. All right, we're done. Sweet as.
All right, see you later.
Awesome.